Hi, and welcome to the Eczema Podcast, where you'll learn tips, products, and natural eczema remedies from Abby, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of eczemaconquerors.com. Stay tuned as she invites experts in the field. Here's your host of the Eczema Podcast, Abby.
So hi, everyone. Welcome to the Eczema Podcast. Today, I have a guest that I spoke with a couple months ago, and I've actually been waiting to speak with her for a really long time. And I am just so excited to have her on the show today. And she's helped me a lot in my skin as well. And I've been very fortunate to have been able to do a consultation with her. And she actually helped me during that time. So thank you so much, Rachel, and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Abby, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And we're going to learn lots and get all of you lovely listeners up to speed on really where skin and skincare is going.
Yeah, and Rachel is an expert in skincare and everything to do with skin. So maybe, Rachel, you can give our listeners a background on what you do and how you got into this.
Sure. Well, my professional designation is I'm a board-certified aesthetic nurse specialist. And since 2011, I've performed about 18,000 rejuvenation procedures, which is really cool. I actually write academic articles as well. I have another one that I'm writing this year on jawline enhancement. And I'm an academically published award-winning author in the field of aesthetic and plastic nursing. So how I like to help people is through education on skincare, skin and laser rejuvenation, non-surgical options, and healing lifestyle practices. So I really truly believe that radiance and true beauty actually comes from balancing your body, mind, spirit energy, which thus brings forth a higher level of beauty and radiance. And really, when you're balanced on, with your hormones, with everything in your body, all the little mechanisms that are happening behind the scenes, you're really going to be your truest, most authentic version because you're really in your truest essence.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And Rachel is so knowledgeable in this area, and I'm just so blessed to have you on the show today. I actually heard Rachel on the Dave Asprey Bulletproof podcast first, and then I was like, I have to talk to her and get a consultation with her just to learn more about my skin. So I'm really thankful to have been able to meet with you. And I know that there's so much we want to cover today, and just even before we were talking, we talked about so many things that we could discuss. So where do you want to start, Rachel, in terms of how we can help the skin and how we can help people who do have eczema?
Sure. Yes, behind the scenes, we kind of laid out what our agenda for today was going to be. First of all, I would really just like to say that I really feel for people that suffer with eczema and psoriasis to the point where people are in so much discomfort that they have a hard time sleeping. And I have no idea what that must feel like. However, I see people and they come to me and then I help them with stabilizing their at-home skincare protocol, which basically I'm a firm believer of cleansing the skin morning and night, moisturizing the skin morning and night, sun protection every day, and gentle exfoliation a few times a week using specific products that are going to help stabilize your skin. And I just see this working. I see it working for people across the board from different ethnicities, aka different genetic backgrounds, different skin conditions or skin types. That's actually, I think the word skin type is something we really need to get rid of because that is such a broad term. So there's the Fitzpatrick skin type. So I'm a Fitzpatrick skin type 2. I don't have a lot of melanin. You're more like a 3 or 4, Abby, because you have more melanin. So some of us are going to be more prone to skin cancers and premature aging than others. And some have more innate sort of cellular protection, if you will, because you have more melanin in your skin. And then other people would also consider their skin type dry, sensitive, oily, acne prone, aging, right? So that word skin type is kind of really broad. What I like to do with people when we met was talk about, okay, what are your skin goals? What are some of the things that you'd like to see addressed And then I'll give you the strategies to help you get there.
Yeah. And I remember when I met with you, one thing that I did say was that I wanted to learn more about how to take care of my skin without the use of Botox and fillers and injections. And you said that that was absolutely possible. And you actually said that Botox and fillers aren't recommended for people who do have eczema. So I would love for you to clarify with our viewers on why that might be, and especially for people who are looking to get Botox and fillers as well.
Personally, I have used injectables and I've really enjoyed the outcome. However, what I've learned in my experience working with so many people is that when people just go there, they're really missing the mark on addressing their skin health, right? So people might be getting just injectables, and sure, they've sorted out a couple of fine lines and wrinkles and have revolumized some of the lost fat, bone, elastin, and collagen that they've experienced through aging, but their skin health hasn't been addressed. So in actuality, I'm a firm believer of dialing in your at-home skincare routine and then looking at in-clinic options to boost your skin health, and then injectables only if absolutely necessary. However, with anyone with what I say here is educational information. It's not to be taken as medical advice, just a disclaimer there. Always check with your physician first before making any lifestyle modifications. However, it is known that when people have autoimmune disease, you are going to be more likely to have unknown side effects, unforeseen side effects. So your body's already dealing with something behind the scenes, right? It's almost attacking itself in some way. The last thing you want to be doing is increasing your potential toxic load by adding other injectables into the mix.
Thank you for sharing that. So when you have injected or worked with someone who has eczema in the past, what type of symptoms have they developed?
It's typically that scaly type of looking skin, and I most often see it presenting on the neck.
Interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what type of treatments would you recommend for someone who does have eczema?
Sure. I'm not a dermatologist, right? So when people are going through periods of, extreme outbreak with their eczema, psoriasis and whatnot, yes, you should seek the advice of your dermatologist. But when the skin is somewhat stable and people are coming to see me and say, how do I get rid of this damage that the eczema has caused on my skin, say, for example, around my neck or on my feet or legs, whatnot, we really just want to be looking at kind of giving the skin what it needs to be as healthy as possible. It's like taking our multivitamins. We want to be putting things on the skin that are going to be nourishing. And I've really isolated the cleansing morning and night, even on the body, moisturizing morning and night, even on the body, sun protection using mineral-based sunscreen, and an exfoliant that isn't like a granular type of exfoliant is really key. And I have this all laid out in my sophisticated skin cheat sheet that you can actually download on my website, rachelvarga.ca. It comes with my treatment planning guide as well. It's a really great, just kind of like easy, quick reference resource.
Yeah. And also, if you do want to see Rachel for a consultation, you can also use my code ABBYTY and get 15% off if you do want to do a virtual consultation. And Rachel, you do see people all over the world, right?
I do. I actually work with a number of celebrities. Most of my celebrity clients are actually men, believe it or not, because men want to look good too. They could just be a little bit more shy about it. And the beauty of what I offer is, well, I'll tell you why I started to offer it. Because in my local city where I live, people would come to see me and I would spend an hour with them and I would go through, everything I could in that time with them to really give them a plan and a structure to their approach to aging well, both at home and in the clinic. And people would say to me, oh, well, I went to this other clinic and I had a free 15, 30-minute consult with a consultant, but they didn't talk about anywhere near this detail. Or I just felt like they were selling me, skincare in packages. But with you, it was more educational. It was more empowering. So I clued into that. I'm like, well, this just feels appropriate to like be working with people in this capacity and educating them to this degree. So I didn't feel like it was just, okay for just my location and community to access that. So why not make it available online? I just saw so many people getting ripped off with, spending thousands on different microneedling, RF, laser packages that weren't giving them the results that they wanted because, let's face it, they were using subpar technologies or probably seeing like a lazy laser technician is what I kind of reference it. So I help people kind of avoid those financial and, time wasting pitfalls.
Actually, I really love that you mentioned it because I know that you stay tuned with the latest technology. I think you spoke at a conference as well, and you're just so in tune with, the latest things that are out there. So maybe we could touch upon some of the things that you've actually told me about lasers, microneedling. What do you think about all of that when it comes to someone's skin type who has eczema and extremely dry skin?
Sure. I love teaching on this topic, and I actually internationally teach other physicians and nurses how to do rejuvenation procedures, which is great. I'll either do that in people's clinics or in a conference setting I'll speak, or I'll do virtual trainings, which is really, really cool. And we have a little one joining us today. I love it. Love it. Real life here on the podcast, guys. Oh, he is so sweet.
Thank you. He just popped up in the video, but you can keep talking.
Yeah. And there are many different options for people to age well. But before even starting to think about, okay, what can we do in the clinic? I'm a firm believer of really just dialing in what you're doing at home. So I'd like to maybe just spend a little bit more time there because I feel like sometimes people think, if I just get this procedure or if I just buy this cream, then, it's going to solve my problems. But actually, I would say that what people do at home is actually more important than just showing up at a clinic and having someone else do everything else for you. It's kind of like using red light therapy. It's that cumulative benefit, right? Or at-home microneedling. It's that cumulative development of collagen over time, reduction of inflammation over time as well.
Thank you for sharing that. And yes, I did not expect my son to come in and start joining the chat. But thank you for everything that you shared today. Also, I think one thing you mentioned to me during our call was that the importance of also getting out into the sun and also nature and having that the nature helping the skin microbiome and not just the gut microbiome.
Yeah. And I know you guys listening, if you are working through psoriasis, eczema, or another skin condition, this can sometimes actually be a blessing in disguise. And I see this with acne as well, because people are thinking, I feel like I'm doing everything right on my skin. What's happening? Okay, let's look at the internal environment. And then it leads you down the path to see functional medicine providers, naturopaths, look at your nutrient profile. You might end up doing some different genetic testing to see which foods you need to avoid. But also it's important I'm a firm believer in doing labs to really see what's going on with your body, because recommendations that you might hear from someone else in a podcast, YouTube video, or blog might not actually be the right information for your constitution. So the way that healthcare is going, the way that skin health is going is on a more genetic level, which is very cool. So it's getting more specific, it's getting more customizable. And we can actually measure these changes, which is really, really cool.
I totally agree with you on doing the lab work. And I think a lot of people miss out on that because a lot of people only change their diet or look at food, but it's so much more than that. And looking at the biomarkers in your labs will show so much. Even in like a GI map test or a stool test, it can just show a lot of hidden information.
Even with fertility, you would be surprised. I work with some of the most forward-thinking health providers in the world. I'm part of a wonderful collaborative. And I did an interview with one of my colleagues, and I was like, okay, what's the first lab that you do when people are having problems conceiving? She's like, I do a stool test, because that internal environment is going to set the stage for creating another human. So that's really important. And then let's just get back to nature. I'm a firm believer in really getting into nature and allowing the different elements to ground you, because when you're grounded, your whole physiology is going to become better balanced and thus more aligned. And, this might sound a little bit woo for people, but in my experience, the people that have the best skin, that have the highest level of radiance, they are woo. They really understand the relationships between body, mind, spirit, and energy, right? So if we're thinking about our body from an energetic perspective, there's, ions moving around. We got ATP being made, their mitochondria, we have different, impulses happening in our brains, which then make hormones. And if that stuff gets out of whack, there's going to be lots of downstream consequences. So I'm a firm believer in, when you're getting ready, try and get ready near a window. So I will get ready also with my red light therapy going on in the room also. And I really do my best to get 10 minutes a day on each part of my body to reduce inflammation and balance myself as much as possible. But letting that sunshine on your skin, and for about 10 minutes first thing in the morning or last thing in the evening, and even into your eyes, there's so many wonderful benefits to, of course, producing things like vitamin D, because we're inside so much. And actually the blue light from our devices, those rays actually reach deeper than the UVA rays on the cloudy days and the UVB rays on the sunny, burning days. But getting outside and touching greenery, obviously not poison ivy and like stinging nettle and stuff like that, but, placing your hands on tree bark, gardening with your hands, not being afraid to expose yourself to different things around you. It actually is sort of like, can even give your body this little like micro dose of, this virus or that bacteria or whatever. And it actually can stimulate your immune system in a really good way. So being too clean actually can lower your immune system, believe it or not. So the more that you just gently expose yourself to things in your environment, the better. And to not be in this type of household where you have those terrible Glade air fresheners, or you're using those aerosol air sprays, or your beauty products. You really have to look at reducing your toxic load and get back to the way that we were meant to live.
Actually, that's so interesting. After you had told me about the just like going out in nature at least 10 to 30 minutes a day, I actually did start doing that. It is a bit tougher during the winter and also when it's colder, but I had also shared that on my social media, and someone had told me that she had started doing that and she noticed that her skin was actually a lot softer and a lot better. So there is that mind, body, spirit connection, like you mentioned.
Absolutely. And we know when we get in nature, we're taken out of what's called the sympathetic nervous system state, which is basically fight or flight, dumping cortisol in your body. And certain things that we expose our body to increases inflammation or inflammaging, right? The whole reason we age is, breakdown of our genes, of our cells, which gets accelerated by inflammation. So when we go into nature and we're taken out of that sympathetic state and into that parasympathetic state, that rest and digest state, our body's actually better able to regenerate itself and achieve balance. So it's a bit ironic coming from someone like myself who has made a living on performing rejuvenation procedures and teaching on this stuff. And trust me, I've come full circle. It is really what you do at home in your lifestyle, body, mind, spirit, energy that actually overshadows, buying the most expensive skincare products in the world, spending thousands on rejuvenation procedure. So if you're on a tight budget, that's totally cool. There's so much that you can do. So don't let that disempower you.
Thanks for sharing that. I'm trying to force myself to go out, even though I've had days where I've had flare-ups and it's been painful, but I'm still trying to go out and get that sunshine and just go out for a walk with my son when I can. So I just appreciate that tip that you shared. So sorry, go on.
I have a quick question for you. Are you going into any clinics for light-based services, or are you doing anything at home?
I've actually been looking into the red light therapy device. I'm just doing research right now on which one is best, but I have interviewed Juve, but I'm just trying to do like a whole lot of research and just, find the right device. But I'm excited to do that once I find the right one.
Yeah, I have a great resource on my podcast. It's called the Rachel Varga Podcast, where I interview Wes. He's the director from Juve, and he kind of really gives us an update on what some of the latest findings are with that type of therapy, and also how to best approach using it. So basically, you want to have that daily exposure, right? It's not about 10 to 30 minutes once a week or twice a week, but it's also a hassle getting to places, especially when you're a busy working professional and a mother. So it just makes so much more sense, even from a cost perspective, to just do it at home. And then you're better able to integrate it into your routine. You're going to be more likely to stick with it. I feel like anything that you do to layer on to helping yourself is going to be a good thing.
So Rachel, you mentioned that the rays that come from like our blue screens, our computers, our phones actually reach deeper than the UVA and UVB rays. And actually that really fascinated me. And it's scary thinking about that too, because we're on these devices all the time at work and also just for when we're winding down as well. So what tips do you have? How do we prevent the blue screen rays from coming into and penetrating deeply into our skin? And is there actually a way to prevent that?
Well, I'll share what I do. Yeah. I obviously am on my computer and my phone a lot myself. And how I try to mitigate that is using my red light therapy in the morning and evening, almost as like a signal. Okay, it's time to start the day. I work it into when I put my skincare on, my makeup, I do my hair. So get over these barriers that you think you might have of being able to do, healing stuff at home. And then I also do it in the evening as well. And I have to say, with my eyes, for months. And we have, there's beautiful trees behind me and they're just dumping pollen right now. And my eyes were so bad. And then I started to use my red light therapy. Of course, this is just anecdotal, right? There's no studies on dry eye, dry irritation. However, one of my backgrounds is ophthalmology for the last 10 years. I do laser treatments to help people with dry eyes. I'm one of the few nurses in Canada that actually does that. And I teach other doctors how to do it.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And I started to notice within just a couple of days, oh my gosh, I can wear my contacts all day again. What's happening here? My eyes were feeling so much better. So it just, makes you question, okay, well, if you feel that so quickly, what else is it doing? Other things that I like to do is just limit the blue light and kind of like the LED lights in my home. So I have these salt lamps going everywhere. In every room I have all the time. And then in the evening, I have the little outlet, little night light ones. And sometimes I'll even put some essential oils on there. So I really like those in the evening. So I'm reducing my artificial light exposure. And also blue blockers is really key to just kind of give you that additional filter. You could just wear those sunglasses. That's really great. But getting outside and doing not looking right at the sun, but sun gazing. Our eyes do want sunlight. Our body does want sunlight to make something like vitamin D to prevent cancers, among many other things that we're just starting to tap into.
Awesome. Is there anything topically that we can actually put on as well to prevent the blue screen and the rays from coming in?
Of course there is. So you heard me talk about the basic routine to stabilize the skin. So washing the skin morning and night with a cleanser, that's not going to be too stripping, or, you want it to take off your makeup, right? So I don't like people to use a lot of things on their skin and a lot of products because I feel like that can really just add to potential interactions between multiple serum layerings or, just increasing your toxic load to things that you don't need. So really setting the stage with cleansing morning and night to get off dirt, oil, debris, pollution, dead skin, buildup, whatever. Whoever started to tell people don't wash your face in the morning, that is the worst skin idea ever, because 99.9% of the time I meet with someone, they say, oh, I have rosacea, I have irritated skin. How often are you washing your face? Oh, I just splash it with water. Across the board, I kid you not. So using a really good medical grade cleanser, I'm a big fan of medical grade products backed by research that are free of parabens, phthalates, sulfates, artificial dyes, fragrances not tested on animals. And yes, I do my best to support companies that treat their employees really well and do have a layer in their business that is environmental with their packaging and product development and research and things like that. So then you want to be moisturizing your skin. So in a moisturizer, yes, you want it to feed the skin and help it feel good and quench it. But if you can get a moisturizer that's got some sprinkling of antioxidants like vitamin C and E, those are going to actually help to gobble up the free radicals that sneak through your sunscreen. So after your moisturizer, you want to be applying a mineral-based sunscreen, not a chemical-based sunscreen. Those mess with the hormones. They kill our coral reefs. Places are starting to ban them. But yes, they're still readily available. Those sunscreens are usually mixed in with your moisturizers and primers and things like that. And they don't last very long and they irritate your eyes. So using a good mineral-based filter is great. So the word sunblock, you need to take that out of your vocabulary. Nothing's a block. Things are still going to sink through. So when you have your sunscreen on and then underneath you have your moisturizer with antioxidants, it's going to gobble up some of those free radicals that get there, because the free radicals are what degrade our skin cells and DNA and cause cell changes, premature aging, skin cancers. So the antioxidants help to offset that. Another layer to that is to actually take antioxidant supplements. And I had the privilege of interviewing Francois Vix. He is the creator of Glycidin Skin Nutrients from France. They've been around for about 15 years. This supplement brand does have third parties actually doing lab tests on their products. And when I interviewed him, he came over, we did a recording, and you can hear those episodes on my podcast as well. But he was actually showing me some before and after photos of the results that he's been seeing with a number of different autoimmune skin disorders in conjunction with other therapies as well. But whatever you can do to feed and protect your body on the inside. So when I take these supplements, I like to take the brightening formula, the dermal formula, and the antioxidant formula. And I go in the sun, say I want to snorkel, I want to swim. If I'm here on the island where I live on Vancouver Island, or I'm holidaying with my hubby, whatever, we want to have a good time, I burn like that, even if I'm slathered in mineral sunscreen. But it seems to work for me to take these supplements, and then I can be outside longer because I have that more internal protection. And there is a lot of information out there that when you are healthier on the inside, you're going to be less photosensitive.
That's so interesting. Do you mind sending me the link after this interview, and then I'll post the link in the description as well.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I recently read this article that said antioxidants are antioxidants stronger, or is sunscreen stronger to help your skin, to help protect against the sun's rays. And there's this argument in the article that said that what you take internally is actually more important than what you put on externally. And I know you probably have a lot of thoughts about that, but in a way, what you said about taking things internally and the supplements and the nutrients internally does actually help as well. And it does actually make a difference. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that. And a lot of people also don't always have a good diet as well. And they aren't getting the necessary nutrients and the antioxidants to help have that protective effect.
Yeah, while we're talking about supplements, I really want to do a little PSA here. If you guys haven't seen that show on Netflix called Broken, you need to stop what you're doing and watch that, because it really helps to shed light on the online purchasing issue that we're seeing. And this is a big public health problem. People are going online, they're going to these auction websites. We all know what they're called, right? And they're picking up their makeup palettes, you know, their lipsticks, whatever, their moisturizers. Oh my gosh, I went in the clinic and this product is like $90, but whoa, I found it online for $40. I'm so getting that, right? Or supplements. And I mean, I'm just being funny. That was like my LA teeny bopper voice. Or they'll get their supplements or household cleaning products or whatever. If you are using anything in your home to clean, or any supplements or anything on your body, you do not want to be buying these products from these third-party auction websites, because they could very well be counterfeit. So if, say, you bought something and you had a reaction to it online from this crazy weird website that probably feel like you might get a virus from also, it's really dodgy. You need to really become a smarter consumer and reduce the opportunity for you to potentially expose yourself to really harmful ingredients.
I actually never purchase from the site that I think you're mentioning.
Awesome.
Yeah, that I think our listeners will understand and know as well. But the packaging can look exactly the same as what another professional line is selling, but it's actually completely different. And I've heard stories where people have purchased it and they could get a reaction, or they went back to the company and the company said, we never sold like these online. So it's so interesting that the whole counterfeit business.
Yeah. I have an e-store and I have 3 brands on that e-store, but I work with so many others. And the reason why I can't highlight them on my e-store and sell them just with, without a one-on-one meeting with me or consultation is because those brands, they just don't allow it, right? You have to be guided on how to use those products properly. And I've had colleagues of mine that have had their skincare brands ripped off, and that Louis Vuitton handbag can sure look real, right?
Yep.
So just because the packaging looks real doesn't mean anything. And I even experienced this with, I'm in Canada, so we have a drugstore called Shoppers Drug Mart. And a long time ago, I had gotten a product from my hair salon, and then, I saw this on the shelf, but on the back of the bottle, it says only guaranteed if, purchased through a professional salon. And I opened up the bottle and went to use it at home, and it smelled like hot dogs. I'm like, this clearly is not the same formula. Wow. So it can even happen in stores like Shoppers Drug Mart.
That's scary.
Really, really crazy.